Right, hello, I'm back. It's been a while actually since I've done a video. I've started a new job in the last couple of months, so as you can imagine we've been a bit busy, a bit tied up with all my other things. But no, I've had some really good reviews and comments on my couple of videos I've done, so I thought it's about time I got a new one sorted out. So I thought, carry on with progression. We did the P14 and it was now time to do the SMLE, Lee Enfield. This is my personal rifle, and as you can see, I mean, it's a brilliant piece of kit. This one's lovely, fantastic condition. The woodwork looks nearly new on it. Rarely ever see them in this condition, and it shoots as well as it looks. Absolutely beautiful weapon. I'm just going to give you a quick run through over everything on it, and I don't know how familiar you are with it. But we'll start with the butt, we'll go to the muzzle. So at the butt, you've got the brass butt plate. Brass butt plate, the same with the P14, has the little trapdoor in there which actually has the cleaning kit in it. The cleaning kit I always find, once you've got them out, is a nightmare to get them back in. But also another thing up this chute where the cleaning kit goes is the bolt to actually detach the butt from the rifle itself, if you ever need to change it, if you've broken it or you're restocking it. Moving slightly on, we've actually got the regimental disc here. Now this one here, on my specific one, is blank, which to me suggests it's been restocked at some point and either not been issued or not actually even, after it's even in service. These were actually done away with by the time they got into the number 4. It wasn't seen as a useful sort of waste of useful use of resources. We've got the standard British canvas sling on this. Same as any British rifle, sort of the early part of the 20th century. Good, solid, not as good as the American one, but at the same time, it does the job. Moving on up, same 10-shot magazine as on the number 4, and you've got the Enfield bolt, or the Enfield system of loading it. I reckon this is probably the quickest Enfield, slightly quicker than the number 4, not much in it. The only thing that maybe made the number 4 a bit quicker is the sighting system. The aperture is a lot better than the V-notch, but we'll get onto that in a minute. You've got the charging bridge here, 5 rounds in each stripper clip, straight down. Do another one, straight down, you've loaded up your 10 shots. Just coming back to around the trigger assembly here, we've actually got here where it actually says where the rifle is made. This one is a BSA 1917 model. But interestingly enough, it's got a few earlier features on it, which it's got the round cocking piece on the back, and it's actually got the windage adjustable rear sight, which could either have been added later on if they've had some spare parts, or somebody's had some spare parts and preferred those systems. So that, even though it's a Mark III style, it does have these Mark III features on it. Moving up the rifle, again you've got the bunny ears here which protect the 4-side assembly. You've also then got, as I mentioned a moment ago, the windage adjustment and the elevation here, which is simply by depressing the button on the side of the rifle, you can move it up or down depending on what range you're shooting at. Now the sights on this go from 200 all the way up to 2,000 yards. I think 2,000 yards is pretty hopeful. I've shot this at 600 and it's quite hopeful at 600 being able to see very much. Especially this V-notch. Now this V-notch, unless you've got oodles of light around you, is difficult. I couldn't imagine shooting overly well at a small target in dusk or evening with it. That's why many people, and snipers especially, preferred the P14 in the trenches because of the sight, just simply because of the sight layout. It also, though, had a better trigger, not least a clumsy Lee Enfield trigger that we're all used to. Again, just moving up the rifle, fully wood-covered stock, right up to the top where you've got this chunky nose cap, which is sort of quite a definitive feature of the SMLE. And again, it's got the chunky bunny ears to protect it from any undue damage. Okay, so I hope that was a quick overview which you may have found useful. I'm going to get onto the lugs on the front of the rifle, as you can see there. which are for the bayonet, which I've got one for it over here. I'm just going to talk about shooting it really. This is probably my prized possession. I absolutely adore this rifle. It's brilliant to shoot. You can have a lot of fun with it because it's got that 10 round magazine, and up to 300 yards it will shoot as well as anybody I know. And that's using standard factory ammunition. I mean, I just stick PV partisan through it, and it's fantastic. I'm lucky enough I get to use military ranges now and again once a month, and they've got the figure 11, that's the sort of human-shaped targets which the British Army train on, and this will just knock them down all the way up to 300, maybe 400 yards. We've yet to go much above that. I've shot it once at 600, but it was so windy, it was a fruitless exercise. In comparison to the P14, which there is the other video, it doesn't shoot as well, but in terms of a combat rifle it's much better. And the reasons for this are the fact that just the bolt cocks on closing, so it's a smooth action. So you just allows those rounds just to be coming in and out really quickly. And I haven't done a mad minute as such with it, but what I have done is just try to empty a magazine accurately and quickly, and it can do it absolutely fantastically. There's no wonder that the Germans at Loos and Mons thought they were up against machine guns when they're actually up against a few men with rifles. You can see why they said that. Another point I think they did do right in terms of the sights, changing it on the number 4 onto more of an aperture sight, because as I said earlier, if you're in low light settings or even a darker background you're shooting into, you can't see very clearly what you're actually aiming at. Whereas with the aperture, especially shooting at a man-sized target, it's a lot clearer what you're really aiming for. This was sort of the first rifle to be I suppose a standard rifle, was it? It wasn't a long rifle, and it wasn't a sort of a carbine, it was an intermediate rifle that got issued to cavalrymen and foot soldiers alike. It was small, handy, compact, yeah, it was still accurate out to battlefield range, sort of the main battlefield ranges. I mean, as I said, 600, 700, 800 yards, it's a long way, but this rifle is capable of doing it. I should imagine there's a degree of luck as well as skill into hitting something at that range. Coming a bit closer to home, in terms of hitting things such as people at closer ranges, and when I'm talking about closer ranges, I'm talking when you've jumped into your trench. There was the Pattern 1907 bayonet, which, as you all well know, it's a big piece of kit. Now this is one with a dulled down blade, which I think, I'm probably wrong here, was introduced around 1916, because originally they were actually a shiny finish, and they found that when large groups of troops were moving, that they used to reflect in the sun, and the Germans used to get a pretty good idea of what was going on from all these bayonets flashing about. This bayonet's very heavily criticised. It's a lot longer than earlier bayonets, and also a lot longer than later bayonets. The reason for this was that because this was the first short rifle, so to speak, that they felt they needed to give the soldier that extra reach in order to compete with the Germans, who were still operating on a long rifle principle with their Mauser 98. As I said earlier, we're going to talk about how you actually fit the bayonet to the rifle. It's very simple. It couldn't be simpler, in fact. You literally slide the loop over the front of the bayonet into the slotted rails and just press down, and it locks in through a spring latch on the actual bayonet boss. That's not going anywhere, but these often had a habit of breaking and snapping and bending, everything you can imagine they did once you stuck them into something. It's often said the only thing these bayonets were useful for is poking a fire. They weren't particularly sharp, i.e. for cutting. Beyond sort of maybe stabbing a can of beef to open it, tinned beef, there wasn't much you could really use it for, whereas a lot of later bayonets, especially the American one in the Second World War that fitted the ground, it was more of a knife bayonet. You know, you could use it as a fighting knife if you had to. It also, one of the things is, makes the rifle very unwieldy. Probably makes the rifle overall just short of maybe 1m60, 1m70, that's not an exact figure, but it makes it a very long rifle. Easily comes up to my shoulders, and I'm 6'3" if I have it on the ground. However, I have shot it with the bayonet on, and it does just keeps the muzzle down a little bit, and it shoots very well with it. Because it's not actually directly attached to the barrel, there's no pressure on the barrel, so it doesn't affect how it shoots. Whereas sort of the number 4 has the spike bayonet clipped onto the front of the barrel, which will just minutely alter the flight of that bullet, and that's a lot of complaints from military rifles that have the bayonet attached to the muzzle. But obviously, I struggle to comment. I've never been in a combat situation, nor do I really want to be when I have to use a bayonet to find out really how it would perform. But in all honesty, if I saw someone jumping over a trench with that coming at me, I wouldn't be too pleased. I don't think I'd hang around too long. I think that's pretty much everything I've got to say on it. I don't want to make the video too long and boring. But if you're going to have a collection of military rifles, this is a must. This rifle has to be in your collection. I mean, ideally, you would have one of these, a number 4, a Mauser, a Garand. We're not allowed Garands in England because they're semi-automatic, which is unfortunate, because that would be one of the first things, so would a carbine as well, M1A carbine, on my list. But what we can have is these, and they're brilliant fun. So I hope this has been a very short and hopefully interesting insight into the SMLE, and keep posted for some new videos that I'm going to hopefully upload in the next few weeks. Cheers, bye now.